Welcome to Collaborative Conversations in Wellness. I'm your host, Kendra Raymond, wellness coach, intuitive healer, and founder of Me Time Healing and Wellness. In this series, I'll be discussing multiple modalities of alternative and traditional therapy with some of my most trusted wellness partners. Our hope is that these conversations will educate you and introduce you to the vast array of practices that are available for you to find your personal balance. We wish you all the best in wellness and hope that you enjoy this series as much as we have enjoyed creating it for you. All the best in wellness. Hello and welcome to Collaborative Conversations in Wellness. I'm your host, Kendra Raymond. And today my guest is Dr. Ashley McGovern, who is one of my favorite people and also my favorite chiropractor. So the last couple of months, or couple of episodes last month, we talked very much about the emotional body, or like the energetic body. We were in a really heavy energetic time. We had a couple of eclipses, we had some Mercury retrograde. So I wanted to introduce people to what those concepts were. But as we come into spring and summer, we're going to start to be much more active. We're going to be outdoors more. We're going to need some more energy. And so I want to take this month and really talk about our physical body. And so Ashley was just like my absolute first choice for that. I was first introduced to chiropractic care. You know, my dad always went, like he had a bad back. He always went every so often because he'd throw his back out. So to me, growing up, it was like you either got injured or you had an issue with your muscular skeletal system and you went to see a chiropractor. My first introduction was when I had a car accident and I went for, to get my spine health back to neutral. But what I recognized was I kind of started to stay consistent. And now I actually see Ashley every 2 weeks, so twice a month. And I've noticed it's just so much more than just like cracking your back. So before we get started into questions, I just want to give you a formal introduction to Ashley, and I want to do that justice. So I am going to read her bio for you. So Ashley graduated from Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada with a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology. She attended New York Chiropractic College and graduated with her doctorate in 2013. She then attended McMaster University for Contemporary Medical Acupuncture. She practiced in Canada for 3 years before moving to Boston and opening McGovern Chiropractic Family Sport in December of 2015. So that's about, we met each other like 2017, 18-ish. So like, yay for coming to the US. So Ashley works with patients to regain their functional movement of their muscular skeletal system and improve their overall lifestyle and wellness. And that is very much what you do for me. I mean, I'm not somebody who comes in with aches and pains all the time or a chronic injury, but it has improved my immune health, my sleep, just my daily patterns of movement. So can you talk to us a little bit kind of beyond the back crack that everybody thinks about with chiropractic and talk a little bit about how regular and consistent care can help us with our overall personal balance, especially as we kind of move through life and age?
So first, growing up in Canada, chiropractic is a little bit different than what it is here. And it's not all chiropractors here are completely different. There are those special few. So in Canada, it's more of physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic altogether. So we're looking more at how the body functions, and we're looking at less of that rack and crack and just the 5-second adjustment in and out.
Yeah.
So when a patient comes into me, I'm looking at how the whole body functions together. The old school version of what chiropractic used to be was like the bone out of place, and we're putting that bone in place. And to me, that's not how I grew up, and that's not my philosophy behind what chiropractic is. So I look at the spine as like a moving wave, and I want to keep movement between each one of those segments. So that's in joint mobility, that's in like flexibility, that's in strength and conditioning as well. It's not just the joint itself. Yeah. There is merit in itself for joint and adjustment, but there's more to it than just that. So patient comes in, you're looking at overall health, you're looking at stress levels, you're looking at diet, you're looking at how much sleep a person gets. because the body does regenerate as we are sleeping. So
Yes, and the body will hold the tension of stressors, whether physical, mental, or emotional stressors. It will hold it somewhere, and you'll be able to feel that.
absolutely. And then you have to look at what the person does for a living. So the majority of us now are working from home and we're sitting at a computer. So then our bodies were made evolutionary to move, and we all get what, maybe an hour to 2 hours of exercise every day, and we call that going to the gym.
Yeah.
So if our bodies were made to move, but they're not, then how are we maintaining health? It's not as if we're out there hunting and gathering our food, like we walk to the grocery store and push a little cart. So how do we
If we
regain?
do that, some of us have our groceries delivered. I don't, but I know that there are a lot of people who do now.
So I think a lot of my background in sport and exercise brought me to where I was and how I practice. So when you think about wellness and you think about lifestyle, I think it takes like collaboration. It doesn't take just one person. So, and I would be the first to say, hey, I can't get this adjustment to go. Like maybe you need to go see A, B, C, and D. And I'm not opposed to that referral. I'm not opposed to the energy side of things. I'm not opposed to physical therapy or even just strictly Chinese acupuncture either. So I think
I mean, just as a friend of yours is kind of why we resonate with one another. But can you also, so this is interesting, and I'm veering a little bit, kind of going off script here, Ashley. But so the very interesting and exciting piece for you is that you now have opened your hub for integrative wellness. So you really are a collaborative wellness provider. Can you tell us a little bit about what your hub offers beyond that traditional chiropractic care? So you were talking about how, you do have a much broader spectrum of care.
So it is all just sort of in the beginning stages, as you know.
Yep.
We have opened sort of our passive modalities right now, and that's looking at sort of, we have an EWAT and ozone sauna. We are getting the vibration plate next week, and then we have an infrared sauna. So all of those in conjunction to, one, the adjustment and just overall health are phenomenal. So backstory, I got a little bit frustrated with how our medical system handled a lot of things throughout.
Docked.
Yeah, the last little bit, let's just put it that way. And I think that a lot of our wellness care has turned into, here's a medication for this. And we have to, as sort of humans, get back to our natural roots. So looking at what we can, as like our body, naturally come back to health. So things like the ozone sauna, you're looking at ozone being a signaler for the body to naturally reproduce on a cellular level and take out free radicals and oxidative stress and things like that in the body. And then you have the EWAT, which is full exercise with oxygen therapy. So think about it as like a hyperbaric chamber, but not with the compression.
Yeah.
So you're getting 98% oxygen with every single breath, where a normal breath is only 20% oxygen each time you breathe in. So you look at all of our respiratory stress and anything that, let's say COVID, for example, was an oxygen sat decrease. And in that way, we're helping to bring that oxygen level back to normal.
And so therefore regenerating cells faster, creating healthier muscle connection and soft tissue connection, I assume, yes?
Yep, correct. And then you're looking at just even recovery from activity. So for those people who are just getting back into going to the gym and everything's achy and sore, you're less prone to go the next day. Whereas utilizing these services, it helps to increase that recovery time so that you're going back to the gym quicker.
No, that's great. And so one thing that I want to mention, just from ladies who are aging like me, chiropractic care for me has introduced me to the subtleties of my body. And so, for example, like, that's not particularly right in my shoulder. And then if I come and have an adjustment, or if I come and have like an e-stim treatment, I do recover quicker. But I'm now tend to be more mindful around certain areas of my body. And in becoming more connected to the subtleties of my physical body, I'm able to become more connected to the subtleties of my energetic body and how my physical body impacts that. You know, like if I am having pain, or if there is literally a knot or kind of a disconnect, there's no flow there. And you can open up that flow for me, and then the energy itself can move through.
Correct.
So, for example, you've noticed that you recently can now give me a thoracic adjustment without having to, like, you know, put a block behind my back. And that's because I'm becoming a little bit more attuned to what the energy subtleties are. I can open that up. And then when I come to you, you can make that much deeper physical adjustment for me.
Two interesting things in that. So when you talk about mobility or like the subtleties in your body that you're picking up on, I think the more people actually move. So I tell patients every single day, you should be moving every joint, full range of motion in some way or another. And you think about, we sit, so we get up from bed, we sit, everything, our knees are only going to about 90 degrees.
Right.
So we as humans, me included, we take the line of least resistance or the path of least resistance. So what makes you think that your body is going to be able to do something that it did in high school if it hasn't done it since high school? So
Exactly.
I always laugh when patients come in and they're like, oh, well, I danced when I was like in elementary school. And congratulations, I want to say, like,
Yeah.
awesome. But what did you do yesterday? Like, what are you doing today to improve your tomorrow? So full range of motion every single day. That's what everybody should be doing. And then you learn where your body is now currently in space. So that's
So, full range of motion. Talk to me a little bit about what people can do to act, because you have introduced me to something, and I think that you'll probably touch on it. How can somebody go through like a full range of motion? And I will certainly include any links that you might have in show notes.
So I did a course through well, he used to be one of my chiropractors, or he was a chiropractor in the facility that I went to when I was a child. So Dr. Ian McIntyre was my chiropractor, but he was with Dr. Andrea Spina. So I did his course probably about 3 years ago now. And it is functional range conditioning and functional range systems. So I use CARS, which is controlled articular rotations, every single day. So you're looking at taking the joint through a full range and gaining strength at that end range. So it doesn't matter when you think about the CrossFitter, let's say, and they're trying to put weight overhead. Yes, you might have the range of motion to get it there, but you may not be strong there. And that's where injury occurs. So how do we go through a range of motion and actually strengthen at that end range is what this system is all about. So when you think about it, take your neck and do a neck roll, but it's doing it into flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and then rotation all in one. So that the morning routine, which I can post for you as well, the morning routine you want to do once a day. And then you have taken your joints through a full range every day.
So CARS, some of my folks will be really familiar with CARS because I've kind of started to, I really push it quite a bit because it has legitimately changed my life. So both my acupuncturist, who I do have to get in here eventually if I can find time with him, and you have both introduced me to CARS. I'm like, okay, it takes 10 minutes to go through your entire body from your neck all the way down to your toes. There's no reason that anybody can't do that every single day. You don't have to do it first thing in the morning if you can't, but do it at night. I had an elbow injury that it was basically a brachialis injury, really, but it was appearing really in the joint. And I just didn't have the strength that I used to have through consistent, literally every single day, CARS in all of my joints. But that in particular, I really felt it. It's changed everything. I'm back to my normal lifting strength and then some. It really, if that's all you have time for in a day, that's the one to do.
100%.
Because as we age, and I work with people from, 18 to 87. And my 87-year-old has more mobility than some of my 60-year-olds because he's doing CARS as much as as much as his body allows daily. He's golfing 3 times a week. He still gets up and goes to work all the time. That is somebody who is committed to living a full and healthy life for as long as their body will allow and doing the work that gets them there.
Absolutely. And you got to think too. So the strength component, our muscle changes also as we age. And just like our bone mineral density decreases, we go through sarcopenia, or our muscle decreases, if you will, or changes properties. So if we're not using it, that whole idea of you use it or you lose it is real. So it
I'm married to one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. We just, as a population, have to actually move more.
Yeah,
So.
I would highly agree with that. Although, okay, so here is another question just on the flip of that. I am somebody who I tend to hyper move, like I will move maybe too much in a day. So in terms of chiropractic care, for those people who maybe have a very physical job, they are unlikely to be as connected to the discomfort that's actually kind of living in their body simply because of activities of daily life and the strain that it takes on them. They're just like, no, this is just my body. So for those people who kind of overuse their body, what might you recommend if they're not ready to come into your table? What might you recommend for them? Maybe cars might not be it for them. What might they be able to do to start to feel the differences and open up more?
There's a couple things in that whole statement. So the idea of I'm physically active at work doesn't mean that you're physically active throughout the day. So your body is accustomed to doing what it has to for work. So you do have to stress that as well. So how do I guess what I'm saying is you have to be able to extend so that your body doesn't deplete. So I go to the gym but I'm physically active. I'm on my feet all day. I'm pushing, like some people are 200 pounds and I have to push through that. So I'm looking at how do we maintain, but then how do we make sure we're not going to get injured on the other side of that? So movement is key. And then the other side is recognizing, because I'm stubborn, and I'll tell you that straight out.
No.
So I will push and I will push. And when I get something in my mind, I'm going to finish it. But it's being able to recognize, hey, maybe I need some time off. Maybe I need help, the help that I can't give myself. And that's where you're starting to seek different practitioners or providers. Not saying that chiropractic isn't the way to go, but personally, you have to look at the whole body. So I get massages, I come and see you, and like I see an acupuncturist, I see different therapies to help me maintain my wellness lifestyle. And I would be the first to tell you, probably 5 years ago, before I met you, I would look at energy healing and be like, what are you talking about? Like, I am so lost. This has absolutely nothing to do with what I learned scientifically in school. But all I would say is be open to it, because it's changed my world and how I treat and how I practice as well. Because you can take a lot from just sitting in your shit. So being able to sit and reflect on how your day is going is huge. And it could be as little as yoga that we start patients on, and learning how to connect with their body if they're uncomfortable with Reiki or energy healing or anything on that way. But I promise you, it all connects. And I feel like everybody needs a source of stress release, and everybody needs an idea of how do we come back into ourselves. Because
and so what I love about your hub, just again, we're kind of on the same wavelength, where it doesn't have to be me, but I might be your starting point, where then I go, okay, or you, for example, might be the starting point where you're like, okay, so this is the assessment that I'm seeing from my profession. Here's where I think it's kind of like ways. there are 15 different routes to get you there. So depending on what resonates with you, you and I in our professions can make recommendations for people. And I think what you said about that whole, yes, you might be strong in what you do for a living. My son, for example, he's going to be working a desk job now, but for many years he was working physical labor in the summers. And he's strong, but when you're digging and he wasn't balancing that with anything. He figured, I worked out already today. Yes, but you're tightening one whole part of your body without balancing the rest. So that was kind of why I was getting to that, because you do have people who work a physically demanding job, but they're tightening up certain parts without balancing the parts that are going to support the areas that they need over time. The back and the core and how they work together.
You can even apply that to nutrition when you think about the whole new craze right now is intermittent fasting. Well, your body gets used to intermittent fasting after a period of time, and then everybody wonders why they plateau. And you're looking at, okay, well, just like our muscular system needs stress, so does our diet, so does our intestinal tract, everything that way. So changing that intermittent fast to, let's say we're going to do a water fast, or we're going to take out water so your body doesn't really know what's coming at it, is how that we continually grow.
Yes. Yeah. And the energy piece, again, Reiki might not be for everybody, but body work could be the start, or yoga could be the start. It could just be an introduction to helping you recognize how you feel in your body. And in that, we're coming into massive allergy season. It's destroying me as we speak. So how does chiropractic care and the other alternatives, passive therapies that you offer at the hub, how can we improve our immune health, allergy seasons and our response to it, and then our sleep during those times?
So I think the majority of when we think about how our immune system works, keeping it strong, keeping it active is what we have to look at. So being outside in nature, even though you have allergies, your body has to be exposed to it in order to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not proponent of let's take a Zyrtec every day, because yeah, you might need it, but your body's not learning anything from it.
Yeah.
So chiropractic, in a sense, will help turn on that immune system or make that immune system stronger, in turn helping with allergies, right? So the stronger that we are internally, the better that we're able to fight through anything that's confronting us.
No. Yes. Perfect. Awesome. So just in a nutshell, if you were to think about something that in 5 or 10 minutes, beyond cars, because we've covered cars, because I'm gonna tell you, if I'm gonna put a link there, and if you have a link that you can recommend, because I have one, but I will take yours as well. I think that's really the best thing that anybody can do if that's all they have. But is there something that the average person on a chilly, rainy morning in the winter, or in the spring for that matter, like we're coming into, that they could just do any day of the week to just kind of help their muscular skeletal system and their overall well-being in a 5 to 10 minute period?
So the biggest things that I would say to revolve around sleep. And then, so in the morning, we don't want to be pressing the snooze button. We want to actually get up and allow our body to have its first insulin spike and get going. If we press snooze, we're going back and forth into REM patterns, which then makes us tired on the other end. So actually getting your butt out of bed is the first and the foremost, is what we want to do. Which
I'm not a morning person, Ashley.
Which is fine. Whatever in your routine is the time that you wake up, just wake up. It would be the thing. So try not to lay in bed. Try not to sort of press that snooze button, because you're confusing your body. Then on the opposite side of it, have a routine in the evening. So make sure you're unplugging. So no TV, no screens, nothing before bed. You look at when you're in bed, because people have moved home, we don't have our office in our bedroom. That is made for sleep and that's not made for work. We can add in things like red light therapy. So it's as easy as changing our light bulbs so that we're getting a different hue, and instead of the bright lights that we're doing every single day. You can read, you can journal, you can meditate. So the ability to come back into our self and realize, like, okay, this is all going all day and I don't need to be in here before I go to bed. So if we can disconnect from that, that's huge. I
So few
find
people live in their bodies. They live here. They're like so cerebral that they just don't connect to the signals of their body.
yeah, I find journaling works the best for me, because then I have notes the next day where I'm like, ah, shit, I have to do all of this. And
Yeah.
then I'm not worried about it and I can just go to sleep, which
Yeah,
is
just get
huge.
it out of your head. And I
Yeah.
always tell people too, you've probably heard me say this in sessions, Ashley and our mutual clients of one another, but I'll say, if you wake up, have a pen and paper by your bed, because if you wake up, you need to use the bathroom, or you wake up and a thought pops into your head, so that you're not creating a train of thought, write it down, get it out of your head, and then go back to sleep.
Exactly.
Something that I say to people when we practice is, I'll say, if a thought arises, simply acknowledge it and allow it to release without attaching a storyline. So that's the idea behind pen and paper beside the bed too. If you can get it out of your head and know that you're not going to forget it the next day, then maybe you'll be able to sleep a little bit better. So sleep, immune health, muscular skeletal health, general wellness. I just can't stress enough the importance of what chiropractic care has done for me, and what all of the therapies within your practice have done for me, or at least introduced me to. So highly recommend. But key takeaway, if you were to give me a key takeaway from this discussion on chiropractic care for personal balance, what would you say is the key takeaway to today's discussion? I'm pretty sure I could say it in one word, but I'm going to let you do it, and I'll see if we match.
I would say movement. So keep the body moving. And that's what adjustment does, right? So
Yes.
you're looking for areas that are restricted and you're looking to create movement within that joint. And it doesn't have to be through specific high velocity adjustments. It could be through mobilizing, it could be through releasing that soft tissue. So keep your body moving, and that's the first step, and everybody can do it. It doesn't matter what age you are. You have a body, use body weight activities, and you don't need a gym, but do something.
Yeah, and that was my word, was movement. It's like literally, if there's one thing that you can do to stay well, just move your body. I see it every single day. So Ashley, best way to get in touch with you, I assume, would be your website.
Yep, website, email, anything that way.
Okay.
The
And
phone
I'll
numbers and everything
include,
is there.
okay, and I'll include your website, your social media, the phone number for the office, and any links that you provide. I'll include all of that in show notes. And I just thank you so much for your time. This was great. I think the physical body is where so many people need to start. And, then as they become a little bit more attuned to their subtleties, they can be introduced to all those things that are going to resonate with them to get them on a path that just works and creates a more joy-filled life. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me too. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a great day. And folks, I will be including everything that we talked about today in today's show notes. If you have any questions for me or for Ashley, you can obviously reach out at any time. And our next session is actually going to be about nutrition. So we're going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks. All right, Ashley, I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that you learned something new to guide you on your wellness journey, and look forward to having you back for future episodes in the series. All the best in wellness.